you so much for taking time to chat with me about migration. I've been looking forward to it. So thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's been a number of years since your last feature film. What first drew you to migration?
The thing is, when I was reached out by Illumination to work on migration, I was a little bit confused because I came from hand-drawn animation, a very small project, and never done 3D before, and so I was a bit confused, like in the sense that I love her movie, but I didn't think I had the skill to be a director on their movies. So I just went there, like, just to be polite, like just thinking, okay, well, I was going to understand that there's a misunderstanding and that's going to be it. And there was no misunderstanding. He really wanted me to talk about like a project that he had in mind, and he pitched me the project. And I have to be honest, I was very seduced by the idea that you wanted to share. And I could tell that increases the producer's word, that there was something very something that he wanted to do that was very relatable, something very personal as well. Like, it was not going to be a film that's copying another type of film. It's really about like talking about personal experience, relatable experience about a family, and like something we all live, about getting out of your comfort zone and getting stuck into the routine, and this kind of issue that you can have within a family, and how it can be a problem, and in a couple, like the father wants this and the mother wants something different, and you still love each other, but you can't make each other happy. So, he was telling me about that, and it was so personal, and I felt, wow, that's actually very intense and great, and it's a very serious theme, which is something that I love, like talking about very serious theme, but in a very lighthearted way. So I felt, well, I can try to help, and we'll see how it goes, but I'm not sure I can do that, to be honest, but I'll bring the best that I can do, like, narratively speaking, or design speaking. I don't know. I didn't even know what I could do for the project, but we started working together, and things went well. But basically, at the beginning, I was a bit like scared of working with them. But like 5 years later, I'm a little bit less scared, but still like quite frightened. But yeah.
Well, I definitely want to hear more about the animation style. The animation is so striking in Migration. How did you adapt your distinctive style to this 3D animation and a whole new world?
Well, it was very natural in the sense that, we see the animation being made, so they show me the shots, like the first thing also, I participate a lot to the storyboard, so I can already in the storyboard, I'm used to sort of like give a lot of elements of what I want in terms of intentions. And the great thing about 2D also when you draw is that you can be very, very expressive, so you can communicate really easily what you're trying to achieve, at least the goal that you're trying to achieve. And when I was watching the animation, I still had the opportunity of using my pen and drawings to draw over the animation. So I could sort of like bring ideas in terms of design, or the way they're opening their mouth, or the kind of expression, the comedy that I wanted out of an expression, like something that I wanted. And yeah, so that's how we sort of like communicated together. I was using drawing, but I'm used to, that's my tool to express myself. And they could translate it in 3D, based on what I was telling them with the drawings. So I think that's how we, I was not really even conscious that I was, like, it was giving my style to the movie. It's just like the fact that the way I was giving them retakes, or, like just telling them, oh, you should do it this way or this way, was passing through drawing. So that's probably how I communicated this kind of personal spirit to the movie, in the animation at least.
Yeah, and like I said, it's gorgeous. I really love the visual style of film. I heard a quote from you. You described 2D animation as additive, and 3D animation as subtractive. I'd just love to hear more about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I don't know. It's very personal. I wouldn't say it's a general rule. It's just the way I perceived the 3D animation and 2D animation. It's just that when I do personally 2D animation, I tend to be very additive, as I say. I start with a blank page, and I will add lines And as soon as I have what I want, I stop drawing. Basically a duck could be just one line and that's it. You express what you wanted to express and that's it. You don't do more. So there's a sort of like minimalistic aspect to it that's very good for me. But some directors could like laugh at me, with a style, which would be much more complex. But mine is more like this. And 3D, what was concerning to me is that we had to define everything before it even existed. Like for example, for a set, a pond, you have to design all the rocks, all the trees, all the leaves in the trees. Like you have to say that this tree looks like that, this tree looks like that, and you end up with a pond with thousands of elements in it and things left and right and everything, which was very weird for me because I had everything and I couldn't get the sense of. It's like you were watching, for example, I don't know, you're watching a bird and you don't see a bird. You see atoms, you see feathers, you see, you see all the details, but you don't see the birds. You just see too many things. And when, as a 2D drawer, I would just draw a bird by just doing a line like a sort of little V, and that's it. I draw my bird. So. And in order to get, for this pond, that I was mentioning, in order to understand the meaning of what you're trying to express, you have to sort of like use the shadows, the lighting, the defocus, to remove elements. For example, you shouldn't be able to count the number of leaves in a tree. You're sort of going to put them out of focus or in the shadow or something like that. You're going to use the atmospheric perspective to sort of like blend things together. So I had this feeling that when we were working, I had to trust the fact that we were going to subtract things, to make the image much clearer. But at the beginning, it was very discomforting because when I discovered the pictures for the first time, I was completely overwhelmed. Compared to the method that I used to have, where it's more like you start from nothing and you add elements. Here I had everything and I had to be confident enough that we were about to remove things.
I think it paid off so well. Well, you hit on the beautiful themes in the film, as well. You, of course, the phenomenal Mike White penned the screenplay.
Yeah.
And how do you balance the important themes? There's themes of, like you said, letting kids experience life and the disagreements between the parents. How do you balance the themes that are more adult, while knowing you're still going to have plenty of kids watching this film?
Well, that's the thing I always love to do. Just you have a serious theme, but you treat it the most lighthearted way possible. And that's what life is basically. You're within your family, and even the things that are going to make you laugh as a kid are things that are often related to adult thematics. I don't know, like it's just life, like you're just. The only comedy that kids are laughing at that's purely kiddish is probably like fart gags and slapstick humor of people falling on the floor. But kids can laugh about adult thematics as long as it's treated in a lighthearted way, probably. Like it's going to be totally fine with it. Or at least I used to watch movies without. I know that my favorite movies as a kid were not especially like children movies. I could watch, I don't know, like. I don't have an example right now, but like I remember watching very adult movies as a kid and just loving them as well when they were way too like adult in a way. So as long as there's this sort of like lighthearted aspect to it, I think it's really okay to like talk to kids as well. And again, yeah, it's just like this. The way you treat it is going to be essential to make sure that kids will love it as well. Yeah.
Mm. That's amazing. And one of the fun things about being a road trip movie, things we love about road trip movies in general, is all the different people you meet along the way, the groups you run into. Tell me more about the evolution of the film after you came on board. Were there other groups that they ran into? We have the herons and the yoga loving ducks and all those. Were there any that you had to cut for time or that just weren't working?
No, it's more like each sequence itself used to be quite different. Like each meetings were quite different. The herons were, I won't spoil too much about the movie, but the herons were actually sort of bikers, like in a club, like a weird bar in the side of a road, and they were really mean and trying to eat them straight away and stuff like that. The pigeons were more like seed dealers, like very creepy people, like dealing seeds to people and everything, and so we made them more like those weird sort of zombie kind of character, that just wants to eat a sandwich and everything. It's funny because the farm was quite different. It was more, like a nice place, but it was a foie gras place, I think, which was a bit weird for me because it was very creepy. I've never been in a foie gras place, but it's the creepiest thing on earth. And when I read the script, I said, I don't think I can do that, guys. Like just the design of the foie gras, because there were the scene where we could see them eating, from the like being, I don't know, the stuffed or almost, it's very creepy. So I said maybe we can make it a very pleasant place, and let's find this idea of how we can treat it differently. And when we changed, the script, it was a moment where we decided to make. Gugu, who is sort of like the leader of those ducks in this farm. Basically, there's a farm where the ducks don't understand why the humans are being so nice to them, so they think they're worshipping each other. Like it's a sort of harmony place. So it's a sort of cult of ducks worshipping humans and etc. because they're massaging them, they're feeding them and everything. And there's this character who is sort of like a cult leader called Gugu, and he used to be the bad guy of the movie. And he was I love this character because he was very cynical, and there was this thing where he didn't see the problem of being eaten by humans. He loved humans so much. He was like, why are you not happy? They love us so much for what we are inside. They really love us for what we are inside. It's not just for the looks. And he had a lot of great lines and everything, and I love his sort of like weird character, but it was a little bit too dark, so that's my dark sense of humor. That was the limit, for the studio, but in a way, I'm happy with the result, and I'm happy of, having the chance to create a sequence like that. There were tons of different options. Like even Delroy, at some point he was an actor at Broadway, playing in a Broadway show called Romeo and Juliet in the Caribbean. Like he was there were pirates and everything. So there were a lot of options, and I love as a director just knowing all the multiverse of what this film could have been. And all those characters and everything. So it's very interesting to work this way because it's fun, it's like you're playing with toys and you go in adventures, and in the end, of course, you have a final movie, but which is probably one of the best versions of what all those things could be. But it's really fun, just like going through this process. It's where all the fun is, for me at least.
Well, I want to hear more about your experience, and I think it's interesting that this is a film about family going to a new place, going kind of into the unknown, a journey they haven't been on before. And in the same way, like you talked about up at the front, this was your first time making a film in America, making a CGI animated film. What sort of similarities did you see to your own journey making the film and the characters?
Well, for me, it definitely felt like I could see a connection, like with the character, like just getting out of your comfort zone. I've never done 3D and everything. And at the moment, that's what I was looking for, like just getting out of your comfort zone. I had done 2 movies, and they were very close in technique. In the technicality of it, and I was about to do another movie, and I felt like I was doing the same again, so I felt I need to probably change, and the opportunity came in, so I said, okay, that's going to be very discomforting for you. You might regret it for the rest of your life, but you have to try. You have to test it and see how it will go. You won't die from it, so come on, do it. And it was very hard, to be very honest with you. It was very complicated, a lot of sweat and tears and everything. But again, like it's like when you're going on a journey, with your partner, when you're deciding your friends, you go on a journey. And honestly, it's not always like fun and pleasure. It's going to be also moments, even with your close friends or partner, it's going to be yelling at each other, or just like having those moments where you don't know what to do or you're lost, and it's not pleasant. But for some reason, when you end up going back home, it's such great memories. Even those bad moments becomes like great memories that you're so happy that you went through, because you can go through these kind of moments. So it's not pleasant to go through them, but at the same time, you have to get through them. It's like the dentist, you have to get through those moments too. So that's how I sort of approach the movie, and for me it was not always pleasure, a pleasure. Of course, there were moments where I was disappointed, or there were moments where I was, like confronted to like they were telling me, oh, you have to redo that again because we're not happy, and I was like, oh, come on, I can't find any other ideas, but in the end, like I could find a solution, and the emotion that you have when you find a solution to a problem that you thought was completely over and you were desperate about it is so emotional, but the memory of it is just, like one of the best thing, and you can get through this kind of experience. So that was just, like there was a lot of similarities in a way, yeah.
Amazing. Well, that's just about my time. Benjamin, thank you so much. I love all of your films and excited for more people to see it.
Thank you so much. That's really nice of you to say. Bye-bye.
Bye.